back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back pickle biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
They are coming. The NFL, NBA type athletes are starting to come into MMA. These football players, first it's the football players that the NFL doesn't want. That's kind of, but think about this. You remember how Bellator used to only get the fighters the UFC didn't want? Now they're just getting anybody that the UFC doesn't re-sign, like the Gegard Mousasi's and the Rory McDonalds of the world. That's how it's about to be with the NFL, man. I'm telling you, the NFL, like, we got Greg Hardy now. He's the only actual, I think, professional football player aside from like the Brock Lesnar's and Brendan Schaub's who played, you know, for a training camp with a football team or something. But I'm talking about actual NFL, played for multiple seasons, Greg Hardy. Now, he's got a very, very bad rap coming over from the NFL world because of a domestic violence situation that allegedly took place. The problem with that is the victim, alleged victim, they reached a settlement, and so no pictures or videos ever came out and nothing happened because they reached a settlement. So in that case, you know, nothing really happened because, you know, there were pictures of, like, you know, bruises and stuff, and it seemed really bad, but after the settlement, the chick kind of went dark, and so Greg Hardy still didn't get back in the NFL, but now he's transitioned to MMA. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the details on that whole situation toward the end of the video, but first I got to talk MMA with you about what's going on with motherfucking Greg Hardy. And also, real quick on the football players coming to MMA, we've got Eric Anders. He just fought Lyoto Machida. It was his first loss. He came over. He was a former national title winner with Alabama. He only played for, you know, college football, but at the very, very highest level, won a national title with Alabama. He didn't go to the NFL. I don't know if it's because he didn't get drafted or whatnot, but he went to MMA. Now, Greg Hardy actually came. There's another football player that was on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. But Greg Hardy played for the Dallas Cowboys, and last night he earned his third first-round knockout in a row. He needed less than 15 seconds to get the job done in the first round, and he was in Dallas, which is where he made his name. You know, I believe he was drafted to the Dallas Cowboys or the Carolina Panthers. I know he played with both of them. After his mishap, you know, he might have moved to the Panthers or something. I'm not sure exactly when, you know, he played for the Panthers or the Cowboys. All I know is he was most famous for being a Dallas Cowboy, and he fought last night for LFA, the UFC's feeder organization in Dallas. Now, he's fighting amateur fights at the moment, and he's 29 years old. My thing is, I mean, I don't just want to see this guy just fucking beating up a bunch of amateur cans, you know what I'm saying? And, like, he's starting to build MMA hype and stardom just from his amateur fights because he was such a big star in the NFL on a national level. You know, he made headlines for better or for worse. He was, you know what I'm saying? He's already a crossover star for better or for worse, or for the right or for the wrong reasons. So if once he wins his first professional fight, the eyes are already starting to be on Greg Hardy, and he's just fighting amateur right now. He's knocking all these amateurs out. But, I mean, I don't know. I already know there's a lot of people in the MMA world that do not like this guy. Specifically, Jay Glazer has spoken out against him. I remember he said this is not the kind of guys we want in our sport. Anybody who accepts him in their gym or anything like that, you know, he pretty much said he was gonna look down upon. Jay Glazer just signed to do commentary with Bellator as an actual commentator and stuff like that. So it's very interesting what's all going on, but I do know Greg Hardy just earned a pretty fucking vicious knockout in LFA. Last night was his first fight in LFA, I believe. But LFA, if you don't know what the LFA is, it's the Legacy Fighting Alliance, I believe. And that's where people go to be built into the UFC. Like, you know, the UFC is nothing but killers. The LFA, there's a lot of killers too, but they're up and coming. It's where you have guys that, you know, might be future stars, but they're young in their game, so you can't throw them in the Shark Tank. But it's kind of like the NCAA to the NFL, essentially. That's what the LFA's goal is. They want to be like, you know, fighters come here to sharpen their skills, and then they make it to the UFC. That's where Greg Hardy is now, sharpening his skills. He's still only fighting amateur fights. And you know what I'm saying, he's got a bunch of first round knockouts. But the thing with Greg Hardy is you don't really have to worry about his cardio being an issue, as most guys of that physique, most muscular guys, most knockout artists, you know, they don't really have the cardio to last into the later rounds. I don't think that's going to be an issue with a lot of these NFL guys, or you know, that are coming over that have been drilling cardio their entire lives. You know, they're going to have the fucking cardio. Now the skill. Now, if you watch Eric Anders, when he has a guy on the ground, he doesn't quite have the jiu-jitsu skill. That's the difference. A lot of these guys aren't going to have the technical skills, so they're going to have to either knock you out or probably get controlled on the ground. You know, because a lot of these guys are going to probably start off being strikers unless they had a background in wrestling. Like Greg Hardy, I'm sure he's going to be an explosive striker that can knock you out in any round. But as far as grappling is concerned, I don't know how it's going to play into a guy that's coming from the NFL unless he had that background in wrestling. These guys might be better fucking kickboxers, but you know, the opportunity's probably not as big. So they're going to try and come into the UFC, maybe like a CM Punk. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, he's probably going to get fucked up because there's guys that have been training mixed martial arts their whole life. But as long as he has favorable matchups, he's going to be knocking guys the fuck out. And that's facts. If you watched what happened last night, it was a 14-second knockout. Man, you just heard it. Boom, crack dude shit. Damn, man, like you know, it's one of them ones you hear when it lands. And the whole crowd's like, oh, just fucking crack dude shit with like a right uppercut, or like just knocked him silly, bro. And that's what can happen with these fucking powerful ass NFL athletes, you know what I'm saying? So right now, mixed martial artists, except for Conor McGregor, you know, the very highest end of the sport, don't make as much money as the guys in the NFL and stuff like that. So it'll probably be a few years before they actually really want to come to do this. But hey, I wouldn't be surprised if not too long we start seeing more guys come over from the NFL, more guys sign, instead of going to the NFL, sign with the UFC. But it probably won't be until we get like a fighters union, or you know what I'm saying, some stuff some protections that the NFL has. If NFL players go to the NFL, they've got that union. So you know what I'm saying, they've got protections as players. They don't have that yet in fighting, so we might have to wait until we get like a fighters union before some of these guys really come over. You know what I'm saying? But either way, man, it is what it is. Greg Hardy's over there knocking shit out. Now, Greg Hardy, he's a guy that, as I said, mentioned a little bit previously before, he's got this bad rap around him. A lot of people fucking don't like this guy. You know, a lot of people don't like anybody that has anything to do with domestic violence, and I hear you. I mean, we all remember when Travis Brown was knocked out by Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis said, you know, where's Ronda Rousey's fine ass at? And he said he didn't like Travis Brown because of his history with domestic violence. And I get it. You know, a lot of people have their things, and I'm a person that's personally, you know, experienced it. I've seen my mother go through it. I've seen other people go through it. I've also seen the other side. I've seen ladies in my family bruise themselves and call you because they were mad at a guy and call the police and say, you know, I've seen a lot of crazy shit. And now, so that's why I looked into the details a little on this Greg Hardy situation. Now, the girl, I don't know her name, but how did they meet? They met in 2012, and he was seeing her roommate. So like he had a chick, and she had a roommate, and him and the roommate ended up getting together, and him and the roommate is where all this stuff happened. So you know what I'm saying, you knew she was kind of a little bit of a jump off with, she took her roommate's man, and so it's not a surprise if she might start messing around on you the same way she didn't give a fuck about her roommate's feelings. She don't give a fuck about your feelings. You got this NFL money. You probably thought she really liked you. She saw them NFL millions, and so you thought, you know, you were really upset, and you probably got motherfucking anger issues. You might have had some roid rage, and he might have ended up allegedly putting the fucking beats on the chick because he was pissed off. And yeah, that's not cool. And maybe that's why he's over in MMA, because anger management wasn't working. Maybe he's a guy that's got them fucking anger issues, and anger management doesn't work. So now he's gonna fight in the fucking cage, because that's the only way he can really unleash on motherfuckers like he really wants to when he's pissed off. And so maybe it's better for him to be in MMA, you know what I'm saying? And as far as the chick situation goes, it's never fucking good for a dude to beat up a chick, especially when you're this much fucking bigger. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're this fucking, you know what I'm saying, a powerful, if you're an MMA fighter, if you're, you know what I'm saying, anything like that, it ain't like fucking, I don't even want to say Demetrius Johnson because he's a professional fighter, but you know, I'm just saying, I mean, it's different. actually, it doesn't matter. You could be some fucking scrawny dude, but you might fuck around and get your ass kicked. But I'm just saying, you know, when you're a big ass dude beating up on a chick, it just always looks terrible. And with that being said, that's why Greg Hardy's got a bad rap right now. But also, you have to be fair and say the chick went away for a settlement. And then when you take into consideration that other little detail about, you know, the chick's personality a little bit, you know, I just got that off the website that told me about his history. So, hey, it is what it is, man. Make your own judgments. You be the judge. All I know is Greg Hardy, former Dallas Cowboys star, is now in MMA. He's got 3 first-round knockouts. His one last night was in 15 seconds. And as long as he's fighting amateur, he's probably going to keep fucking knocking out these dudes that no one's ever heard of. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, it's like, what are you doing by having him knock out these amateurs? You know what I'm saying? Is he not ready to be a pro? He's 29 years old. Is he going to become a pro when he's 31? And if he does, is he going to start fighting low-level pros then? I mean, I'm just curious because he's already starting to garner this attention. You know, that when you start to garner this attention as a fighter is when people want to see you really tested. And if people don't like you, people are really going to want to see you tested. So as soon as this guy becomes professional, I think fireworks are going to start to happen. Everyone's going to be watching his fights. But as of right now, he's just knocking out cans in the amateurs. But he did move to the LFA most recently, which is a big step. UFC's feeder organization. With that being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DO double G.